What is up, Freedom Youth family? How we doing? Hey, if you're a first time and you're like, who's this guy? My name is Pastor Alex, and I just want to say welcome home. Hey, we have a thing here at Freedom Youth. We say we are not a crowd, we are family. And if you're a first time guest, maybe you're clicking on this link, you saw it live, or maybe a couple weeks later you saw it and you're like, oh, what's this video? And you clicked on it. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to fill out the form. Maybe it's in the pinned comment section or the link in our bio, but I want you to fill it out because we are a family and I want you to get to know us and we want to get to know you. We want to give you a free gift. We want to say, hey, welcome home. So we're about to get started. We're in this new series called Youth Paused. Super cool. And today we're going to talk about paused from perception. Go ahead, write that down. That's the title from today's message, Paused from Perception. And it's going to be kind of different tonight. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to have some special guests come on our Zoom calls, and we're going to do a kind of like a questionnaire thing. And first up, we have Kalila, and I can't wait to talk with her as we talk about worship and what it looks like to worship. So give her a round of applause. Give her some hand as she comes to the stage. Not really. Just comes to the screen. Tell Kalila what's up. Kalila, thank you for being here.
And we are here, Freedom Youth, with Kalila. Kalila's a nurse, if y'all didn't know that. You're a nurse. You're a nurse. You're in like front lines of all this thing, girl.
COVID-19.
How you handling it at work?
It's crazy, but I like it.
Yeah. So y'all didn't know that she's a nurse, but now you know. But also, she leads Freedom Youth worship on Wednesday nights. Come on, give it up for Kalila. She's amazing. I know this is outside of her comfort zone, but she's amazing. She said she'll do it with me, which is awesome. We get to ask her some questions about worship. And Kalila, can I just say, I can't wait till we can worship again, like person, as a group.
Me too.
I can't wait. It's killing me.
I'm ready.
Having to worship at home is really weird. Like, I'm not used to it. I'm sure students aren't used to it. And so I want to ask you, how do we worship at home?
You worship at home the same way you would if you were in a crowd of people. Like, our worship never changes. So at home, you get to do even more. You can raise your hands. You can do all the things you've always wanted to do but were afraid to do. And you can sing off key like Pastor Alex and nobody will judge you. Like,
you're so funny. I'm out. I just can't even. Everyone in the comments right now is going, amen, because yes, I can't sing. I'm very off tune. My wife hates it, by the way. Like, I've been worshiping on Sundays and I'll be singing and she's like, oh my gosh, please stop. Anyways, so you're saying it's just as important to listen to worship or to worship at home than it is here. But what about like listening to my favorite like rap music, or like, why do I have to listen to worship? Can't I just listen to my favorite music genre? I mean, what's the difference?
So I never say like, don't listen to your favorite music. I listen to music to hype me up before I go to work, when I'm on a run, but also you need to spend that time with God, and worship is like us honoring God and us getting to know him and him getting to know our hearts, and we just forming this relationship. So I think you need to worship daily, and like what you listen to matters. The same way we say like who your friends are have a big influence on your life, like the parable when the friends brought their friend to Jesus to be healed. What we hear every day, it gets into our hearts. So that's why we need to listen to worship music.
That's so good. How about this? I had a student ask me this question. I feel like worshiping to a screen is fake. Can't we just wait until we meet all together again? I mean, yes, I can't wait till we can meet all together again. But what do you say to that about it being fake?
One, it's not a concert.
Worship's not a concert. That was so good. I'm gonna take this shirt. All right, I can't handle it. That's so good. Say that again.
Yeah, not a concert. We're not worshiping to the screen. We're worshiping together. You have worship leaders just to sing with you. We're not singing for you. We're doing this together. So like, yeah, it seems weird at first, but once you like take in those words and you just get alone with God, like it will change your life, y'all. I'm so excited for y'all.
That's so good. I love that. It's worship's not a concert. Where you lead us, but you're not doing it for us. I love that. I love that so good. And today, before we go into our next special guest, Pastor Andy's coming up, y'all. Pastor Andy. Kalila, you haven't met Pastor Andy yet, have you?
I did meet him.
You did meet him?
Yes.
Okay, so he was here like 4 years ago. I mean, we've been on staff for a while. when Freedom Youth just started, when there was just 20 kids, he helped me and a few other interns like create what it is today. So I can't wait to hear all the amazing things that he's going to say and just the wisdom he's got. But before we go, we're talking about this idea of youth pause. And today is we're paused from perception. So like we're paused from having to dress up and go out and put on our face and, you know, keep my beard in check because we don't have to go anywhere, do anything. So I have a question for you. One last thing before you go. Should how we worship be affected by what others think of us?
What others think of our worship doesn't matter because it's our personal response to God for who he is and what he does.
That's so good.
So when I worship, I try not to think about what the person next to me is doing because I want to be so in tune with God in that moment that I don't miss it. And I'm like ready for whatever he wants to say to me in the moment. And this time at home, y'all, I want y'all, when you hear Pastor Alex on youth nights, when he's like, raise your hands, we raise our hands to surrender to God. So if you ever felt uncomfortable doing that, if you ever felt uncomfortable singing out loud, like this is the time. I feel like we're in this self-isolating time to get closer to God. So this is where we build it. We can do it. I'm excited.
Y'all give some praise hands, give some clap right now in the comments. Go put it there, all of them. Keep going for Kalila and her amazing, not just for being a nurse and being on the front lines of all this, but for leading us in worship each and every Wednesday. Kalila, I'm so glad that you're a part of this team and part of this family now. Like, seriously.
I love it. I love my Freedom family.
The better things are yet to come, right?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Get ready. Get your notebooks out. Get ready because we're about to have the one and only Pastor Andy. Please welcome to the stage or to the screen, Pastor Andy. Well, what's up, Freedom Youth? I'm so excited that you are on live with us. I am here with the amazing, the one and only, the great hair, Pastor Andy Green. Pastor Andy, thank you for being with us.
Yay!
Man, so Pastor
I'm so
Andy,
happy to be here.
You have been out and about on a 2-year-long, I guess it hasn't been 2 years yet, but you are going on all over the country. Why don't you give a quick rundown of what you've been doing for those that are new and don't know your face?
Yeah. So we started in September 20th. We started traveling the country, and the goal is to travel to all the states within 2 years. And so far, we've been about 6.5 months in, and coronavirus has sidelined us for a little bit, but we're back home waiting to be able to go back out. But it's been awesome so far.
Man, for those who don't know too, he's being modest, but everything that Freedom Youth is, everything that I am as a leader and as a pastor is because I've sat under this great man's leadership. Y'all don't realize how great Pastor Andy is. Like, he has taught me from day one, back when we had 20 kids, Pastor Andy was there and he helped me. He told me to grow up because y'all, and I still need help with that, but he told me to grow up to be a leader. And so y'all give some love, put some praise hands, put some hearts. Go ahead, do it right now in the comments. Show some love to Pastor Andy because he really is the reason why I am the way I am and the way it is. It's because I've wanted. How long have you been in ministry for?
Well, I started serving in my youth group when I was a sophomore in high school. My church got a new youth pastor, and for some reason, he told me to grow up, but didn't tell me to grow up, just asked me to get involved. And it was off and running from there. So I've been in some form of ministry or I've been helping in some form of ministry for Wednesday night services or weekend services or youth groups or whatever since I was probably 10th grade in high school, you know.
So, he's been in ministry for at least 150 years.
I put it on the tee for you there. Yes, I am.
You really did. You just set me up for that one. I was swinging.
So if you're watching this and you're thinking you got to wait till you get in college or out of college to start getting in ministry, no, you can start right now. Alex is gonna, foam at the mouth and be so excited.
Yes.
Yes. You can start right now. God can start directing that course for you right now.
Preach it. Come on, somebody. Keep going, Pastor Andy. He's preaching. Come on.
I came ready.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so what has been your favorite place that you visited on your RV trip?
Well, we spent a month on 4 different Hawaiian islands. So it's kind of, cheating to say Hawaii, I think, is pretty amazing to go to Hawaii for a month.
Come on. If you've been to Hawaii, put it in the comments, because I bet you there's not a whole lot of us. I've never been to Hawaii. I want to be.
So, but other than being there for a month, the Oregon coast and the state of Oregon was one of the most beautiful places I've been so far. So
that's cool.
It was awesome.
Is there any like crazy stories that you have real quick that you're like,
I got a
crazy story?
Yeah, I got a real crazy story. So we went to California.
Okay.
And we went to LA and to Hollywood and all that stuff. And so we were going to do like this little tour around Hollywood that everybody has to do, and you go see the stars on the walk and, the Chinese theater. You go see all the stuff you see on TV. And so we were getting ready we were preparing. We had a time slot to start that tour. And so we got there a little early just in case traffic. So we went to this park. I found this park online, and I thought we could park the car there. It might be cheap. We could also do like a little picnic lunch there.
Very nice.
I told the family, I said, hey, heads up, we don't live here. We've never been here. If we get here and this park is pretty sketchy, we might just move on and eat in the car. We got there and the park was really nice. In fact, there was security in the park, and it was super nice. There was tennis courts and all the stuff. So we sat down for our picnic, unaware about the fun that was about to begin. I'm telling you, Alex, there was the craziest mix of people in this park. There was a lady dancing around, hugging trees, and
like an actual tree hugger.
Like literally actually hugging trees, dancing around. She was singing to the trees. There was a guy that had set up these different like little pieces of paper, and he called it the Path to Life. And he was inviting people to come take the free walk to the Path to Life.
And it was just pieces of paper that he put on the ground?
It was just pieces of paper, and he would walk you to each piece, and he would talk to you. There was
interesting.
There was a sign. There was a tree that had a bunch of. It wasn't like a oak tree like we see here, where it's just a big tree trunk coming up. It was a tree that sprouted out. It was like 7 or 8 different trunks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that tall, but on every one, it was like you could crawl inside of the tree. Like there was all these different, and someone had taped pictures of different crazy faces on each one. So you could stand in the middle and look at these crazy faces. I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. It was the craziest. I felt like I had landed on a different planet. I felt like the weirdest stuff, but it was the strangest thing. I could go on. There's like 3 or 4 other things going on.
That is crazy. Like, so just don't go to California to the parks, I guess, then.
LA is probably, what you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Well, what about, have you had any like really bad experiences before we get into the message and pick at your wisdom? What's like something you're like, ooh, man, no, this wasn't good.
Yeah. The worst thing that happened, I think I counted, it was 8 days into our trip. So 8 days after we left.
So like 8, right off the bat, Satan was like, I'm going to attack this family. I'm going after them.
Yeah, so 8 days we were driving across, almost all the way across the state of Nebraska. And 2 ladies pulled up next to us, and they're yelling at us. And I can't tell what they're yelling at first, but I just see they are desperate to get my attention. And then I noticed they're yelling that our door is open. And so...
Your door to the RV is... Oh, my gosh.
So our RV...
Did you pick up any hitchhikers?
No. Yeah. It's like the train car. Somebody crawled in.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, so we pulled over, and sure enough, we have 2 doors, one on each side of our RV. One's near the back, and the one near the back had blown open and almost blown off the RV. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to take a hammer, and I took a rubber mallet and beat the mess out of it and, put it back in place. But we were almost stuck there with the door hanging off.
Oh my gosh, right off the bat. For those who don't know, his RV hooks up to his truck. So it wasn't like they were driving the RV. That would have been funny though, if like you were driving the RV, the door was just open.
That would have been bad. If we didn't know it was going on and we were inside of it at the time, that would have been really bad for us.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear of all the crazy. By the way, if you don't, I'm going to pin this in the comments here, but if you don't follow Chasing What Matters Most, you need to. because it's their whole Instagram and their whole story on what they're doing and why they're doing it. And the why is really cool too. Pastor Andy did a great message before he left here at Freedom on why they're doing it. We don't need to get into that now, but definitely need to go follow them on Instagram. So right now, like, for example, this coronavirus has taken your plans and altered them. Like, you had a plan. And God said, nope.
Nope, not now.
Not now. But you were planning already to be here during the month of April, right?
Yeah. We were planning. We were planning. We're filming this on Tuesday, so today was the day we were supposed to leave. So from today on is when our plans have really been altered. They've been altered because we were hoping to see a lot of people and hang out with a lot of people, and we've been not doing that. But yeah, so today was the day we were supposed to head back on the road.
Well, in all 150 years of ministry that you've been in, have you ever seen anything like this? Like, does this compare to anything where ministry and church is just so different now? Like, can you compare it to anything?
Well, not really. I mean, there was one. I was working with a youth group when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So I was an intern.
That was big for the whole country, for sure.
Yeah. So I was an intern and working at a church in Texas when that happened. And it was different in that it was the same in that it shut a bunch of things down. Like, it was really weird driving down the road. The church I worked at was right near the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. And so it was really weird because you drive there and you wouldn't see any planes when typically you'd see plane after plane after plane after plane. So that was strange because everything just kind of shut down. The difference is, though, it didn't keep us from having to meet this way. In fact, it brought people to the church even more physically to the church. I mean, I remember we had to have special services because there was such an interest. Because people were so concerned and so desperate for God that we ended up doing more services at the church.
Do you think we're going to see that after we come out of this whole, like, hey, no one's allowed to meet? Do you think we'll see a surge of people being like, I've missed people, I need the church?
I think we're already seeing it. Probably it's just now they don't have to go somewhere. They don't have one church they would go to. They got they can sit at home all day and just take in several different messages in several different churches. So
That's
I think
good.
it probably, if we technologically we've advanced to the point where now we can keep this going even when we can't go to the physical building. We can keep it going this way. And I think it's probably, we don't know it, but I bet more people are even doing it because now they can do it and no one knows they're doing it.
Yeah.
Or they're not, church can be scary to people that have never been before and don't have any idea. It can be weird. It can be kind of, I don't know what to expect. And so maybe God's using this time to draw so many people in that are comfortable sitting just watching.
That's so good. So good. Well, thank you for that. I want to move into, because today we talked a little bit with Kalila, but today we're going to talk about pause from perception. That right now, if you want to just stay in your pajamas all day, not put on your makeup, not trim up your beard, you can. Like, nothing is stopping you. You don't even need a shower right now. I mean, you should. It's gross, but you don't have to. And it's kind of like this pause from perception and pause from like caring of what outfit am I going to wear today? What shoes am I going to break out today? Because no one's going to see it. So it's a really weird time for students, because I think that's something that students care about the most. So what do you think students care about when it comes to perception?
I don't think it's just a student issue. I think it's an every person issue. We all like to be liked. We all like people.
So true.
We all like people to love us. I mean,
Keep
we have
it going.
a natural desire to be loved and to be accepted and to have, it can be different for different people. You might be somebody that needs, 10 to 100 people to love you. And some people might just need one or two that really love and care about them greatly. But I think innate in us is that desire for love and the desire to be loved. So, I think it exists for not just students. Now, the danger is, and the problem is who we give that power to create that perception.
Say that again, Pastor Andy. That was good. Say it again.
The danger is who we give the power to give us that perception.
Come on, somebody. That's so good. I don't know about you personally best friend, but for me, like I was that kid in high school that I like to show people that I didn't care what I don't care what you think of me, but I really did. Like I wanted people to think that I didn't care. That was
Like I'll put it to you this way. So I like watching boxing or fighting. And so one of the things they say is when someone gets hit in the face, if they act like it didn't hurt or they acknowledge that they got hit in the face, like, oh, that didn't hurt, that's the clearest sign that did hurt. And the other person knows, hey, I've got you on the ropes, or I've got you kind of wobbled because you've acknowledged. And I think the same thing's true. You being so outwardly, I don't need you to like me, I don't need you, probably proved that you needed people to like you more than anybody else.
That's so true. I could see that in my life. Like I'm being super vulnerable, y'all. That's so true. That was me in high school, and I still struggle with that. What would you say though to a student that's like me or like any other person, just not even students, but they just need to have this perception on them. Hey, I've got the best clothes. I don't care if people like me. What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, back to what we just said, ask yourself who you're giving that power to. Because even if you don't believe there's a God or believe in Jesus, which we hope you do, and we hope that is a journey if you're on it, that comes to fruition here, maybe even today as you're watching, that you realize Jesus died for you and wants to save you. But even if you don't, I mean, selfishly, why would you not hold on to that power for yourself? Why would you not keep control of that power when I know, and having been a middle schooler, having been a high schooler, and then worked with middle school and high schoolers, and now raising a middle schooler, it's so crazy for me to see and to think about in my own life, giving that power to dumb junior high boys or dumb junior high girls or high school girls or high school boys that didn't really matter, but I gave them so much power to control who I perceived myself to be, who I perceived myself to want to be. When even if there wasn't a God, which we'll get to that in just a second, I should have just held on to that power for myself. I should have controlled that and done, but because there is a God, because there is Jesus who died for us and who is there for us, there is wisdom in this through him, and we can give him that power, and we can see him give us the direction, give us the guidance, give us the perception we really need. And the beautiful thing of it, Pastor Alex, is when we do that, then other people can see Jesus and they perceive us, and they perceive us as Jesus, and then they see Jesus when they see us. So not only do we see a healthy version of who we are, but we get to show other people who they could be through Jesus Christ.
That's so good. That's so good. So like for me personally, then, like if I'm talking to high school Alex, I would say, hey, first off, you do care what other people think, but second off, you should kind of care what people think of you, because they're not just seeing you, they're seeing Jesus, because you're saying you love Jesus. And if you just act like a fool, I don't care what people think, but I love God, then they're seeing that version.
And they see an embarrassing version of who Jesus is.
Wow, that's so good. So we care, but we don't let them like control us. So like I care.
We care. They see what's correct and what's true.
That's good.
And what's proper, and that is who Jesus is perceiving us to be, who he's called us to be, who he's directed us. I mean, if we take the flip side, Proverbs 13:20 says, "He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm." For me,
we preached on that before too.
I need to constantly evaluate the friends in my life and constantly run them through a filter or grid and go, okay, do I have any fools in here? Because they're shaping how I perceive myself. Because none of us, I think, are, hopefully we can win this battle all the time. But I think there's times where we're going to let influence in from the people around us. That's why that verse exists, because it knows we're going to let people influence who we are. And so we constantly need to I heard a pastor one time say the greatest question ever asked is, what's the wise thing to do?
Yeah.
And so if I'm asking with perception, what's the wise thing to do? I think it starts with looking at my friendships and going, okay, the wise thing to do is to surround myself with wise people.
Yeah.
Because he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. So if I've got any fools in my camp or any fools that are close to me, then it doesn't end well for me. The Bible also says in James that if any man lacks wisdom, ask for it, and God gives it freely. So if the wise thing to do is the greatest question ever asked, and we're trying to perceive ourselves wisely or walk in this wisdom, then we go to God and ask for it. He's more than eager.
So like with wisdom, so if I need wisdom, I'm like, man, I don't know how I should present myself. I don't know how, is this dress too short? Am I spending too much money on shoes? Like you can relate that not just to perception and what we care what people think, but in all areas of our life, we can put that in.
Yeah, I think it's how we start every day. We can wake up every day and go, God, I know me well enough to know I lack wisdom. The problem with high school you, middle school me, is we thought we knew everything.
This is true. This is true. I don't know about you students, but I did know everything. Like I did.
And asking and seeking wisdom from anything else or anyone else. But the hard thing is we were also so crippled with fear about what everybody thought about us. So it's such a weird dichotomy that I at one point care so much that I know everything, but I also want you to tell me I'm great, and I feel so much like I don't know anything.
It's like a hard tension that high schoolers are dealing with, and they're just like, man, I don't care what people think. I don't need to ask for help, but I also need to know, and I have these fears and stuff. So what truth would you point them back to then? Just like what? I mean, we're pointing them back to the Bible. What one thing would you really leave them with?
I think, like I said, I think it's daily. One of my favorite verses is, in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah.
In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll make your paths straight. I want straight paths every day.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to wake up every day and have a straight path for that day.
Yeah.
Now that path might not be the path I wanted, but I want the straight path.
I mean, you wanted to be on the road again today. So
yeah.
I mean, that's what you wanted.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I'd rather today trust in him with all my heart, lean not on my plans or my understanding, and all my ways acknowledge him, say he knows more than I do. He's greater than I am. He is way better at running me than I am running me because he created me. He knit me together in my mother's womb, the Bible says. So, I want to trust in him with all my heart. I want to lean on him with not my understanding, but his understanding, and acknowledge him for it. Give him the credit, give him the glory, give him all praise and all honor. And then just as I pray with my family often, get out of the way and follow. Not try to get ahead of God, not try to lead God, but get out of the way and follow him down the straight path. And so I think as you're trying to perceive who you are or who you are supposed to be or think you are, give him the power to do that. Give him the power to show you that.
Yeah, I think a lot of students are right now, they're in this phase of when you go into middle school, you start to ask the question, who am I? And then by the time you leave high school, you kind of know, at least in your brain, who you think you are. So middle school and high school is that time where you ask the question, who am I? You start to establish it, and you start to believe, and you can either believe the world's truth of you are how many followers you have. You are how many views on TikTok you have. You are how good looking you are. Or you can believe the truth of God that says, hey, you are a son, you are a daughter of the King, and I love you. And you can leave high school with that mindset or belief. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, and it's because perception, even though it's a cliche that perception equals reality, perception doesn't always equal reality. And so the problem is in that world, even into adulthood now, we'll perceive the social version of someone. And so we'll perceive them. And so for me, that was an enlightening moment when for me, all this came to a big, huge, hairy thing that would take a whole nother message. But when I was in 10th grade, when I started working at church, I started just, realizing that everything that I thought I was trying to figure out, my perception, was all based on these crippling thoughts that I thought no one else had. I thought everybody else you perceive everybody else that, oh, they've got it. She's popular, he's got it all together, he's figured
They
it
don't
out.
have those kind of thoughts.
But everybody is the same mess. Everybody's the same mental mess of insecurity, of frustration. There's a few, outliers out there of somebody that really does have it all together, or someone really who is. But for the most part, through that time of adolescence, psychologists call it, is we're all kind of mentally just a mess trying to figure it out. And we perceive everybody else to not be that way, but we all are.
Not like, to play off of that, students, I know you all have seen these memes, but like, Pastor Andy, do you know what memes are? You know what memes are, right?
Stupid.
He knows what memes are. But like, y'all see these memes of like, people will be like, hey, does anyone else do this? And or think this way, and they'll list like a really strange or like weird way to think, or like when you see those, like, those lines in the hallways at school of the brick. This is not a brick wall, but you know what I'm talking about, like in the hallways at school, and like you would see it and your brain tells you to put your finger against the thing. Yeah. And we're all like, I thought I was the only one that had that. No, everyone has that thought.
Everyone.
Like, and there's tons of memes, and there's tons of like conspiracy theories. There's a bunch of things I'm like, oh, why do we all have these strange, weird thoughts? But it's that right there. Like, we're all human. We all have these thoughts. We are all created by one creator. That's so good.
Yeah, I think it would be so healthy if we could all just be vulnerable and kind of go, hey, I'm an insecure mess who doesn't really know who I am yet. But man, I'm so glad I don't have to figure it out. And I serve an amazing Savior who already knows what's best for me.
So maybe when we go into small groups right after this, we should just spend just some time with the one question. Like, what would that question you would want them to discuss in small groups? I know I didn't prepare you for this, but based on that, like, hey, I'm vulnerable, what would you want them to discuss in small groups right after this?
I mean, I think the most vulnerable thing we can do is say, this is how you can pray for me. And so it might be just they need to start small group by praying for each other and going, where two or more gather, God's with them. So they're sitting amongst not just the people in their small group, or virtually sitting amongst the people, not just in their small group, but God's there with them too. And the crux of everything we've talked about is the fact that we don't know, but He does. That we're not wise, but He is. And so maybe they just start off and, allow time for people to share and be vulnerable and say, hey, yeah, this is something I struggle with, and it might just be, yes, I struggle with this. And then they all pray about, helping see God in it. But I think, I think the best thing we can do is take it to God, trust in Him with all our heart, lean not on our understanding.
So good.
And all our ways acknowledge Him. Hey, you're in the room, God. So we want to bring you into the conversation and show us the straight path.
So good. So good. Pastor Andy, thank you so much. Y'all get some clapping hands, put some stuff up into the comments. Come on. Hey, before we go, I gotta ask, can we see the hair? Y'all don't know. First, tell them about the hair. Before we go, y'all gotta hear about the hair. Tell them about the hair.
Well, I'll be vulnerable with everybody right here. So I had a really bad haircut when I was in college. I had really long hair. I had a really bad haircut. So I am very insecure about getting another bad haircut. So for 6 months, I have not had a haircut. I was supposed to have one because we're going to be back home. My guy that cuts my hair, who I trust, is here. So he was going to give me a haircut, but now everything's shut down. So, now the mullet is in full effect. You can see I got that nice little hockey starter cake back there.
Oh, I love it. I'm so jealous.
Look
at it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, Pastor Andy, you have no reason to be insecure because that is awesome. At least you don't have this. At least
I can try. I can donate.
Yeah, you can. You might need to. Come on, son. That looks so good. It literally, man, it looks amazing. Well, hopefully you get your haircut soon. Thank you again so much for doing this. I love you. I love everything that you taught me. And just between us, man, I'm so grateful for you. I'm praying for you and your family. Like, I love what you poured into me. I love all the knowledge and all the wisdom and just the practical ministry experience that you have. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you, Pastor Andy.
Man, so proud of you guys. I love Freedom Youth and so excited for tonight.
Yeah, let's go. All right, well, everyone say bye, Pastor Andy, and we're about ready to go into small groups. I got one more thing, though, before we go into small groups.
So one last thing real quick before you go, I want to give you a free pizza. That's right, one of you is going to get a free pizza. I won't deliver it because, I'm not allowed to deliver things. I have to stay here, but I'll order it for you and I'll send that pizza. But here's how you do it. Here's how you win this pizza. I will pick one person that does this. What you got to do is go to our Instagram story, use the template that we have to invite people. I want you to tag us. You got to add us first so I know that you're doing it. And then tag 3 people that don't follow the youth page or don't follow the church page. If you tag them and say, hey, come to Easter, and encourage them to sit with you on one of the worship experiences, either on Facebook, on YouTube, then I will pick someone from that and they'll get a free pizza. So if you want a free pizza and you're saying, yeah, I want that free pizza, then go ahead, invite, because we can't wait to see what God's gonna do at Easter. Can't wait to see y'all there. Love y'all.